Trump loses. I think that that's correct. I think he's going to lose big. In addition, with Trump at the top of the ballot, there's all sorts of things out there suggesting that down-ballot Republicans, that means Republicans running for Senate, for Congress, for governor, all the way down, that they are going to lose as well because Trump is a drag. So on the one hand, you have Democrats who, in a weird way, want to see Trump be the nominee. Because if Trump is the nominee, their candidate, in this case Joe Biden, has a greater chance to win. So one of the things that is happening now is you have, as more Republicans are emerging to challenge Donald Trump, you have more and more of an effort to try to discredit them. Let's attack Ron DeSantis. Let's attack Chris Christie. Let's attack Tim Scott. More on Tim Scott later in the program. Let's attack these people. Let's run them down because we want Trump to be the nominee. Because if Trump is the nominee, well, Biden has a bigger chance of winning. DeSantis is the nominee, it's a completely different story, which is why as Ron DeSantis moves closer to running, and the announcement, I believe he's going to announce that he's going to run for president sometime this week, as he moves closer to that decision to run, what happens is he's getting more and more attacks that come on. So this is what happens over the weekend. The NAACP, which is an advocacy organization, here's the story in the Wall Street Journal. The NAACP issues travel advisory for openly hostile Florida. The advocacy group for Black Americans says the move is in response to actions by Governor Ron DeSantis. The NAACP issued a travel advisory for Florida over the weekend to warn potential tourists of state laws and policies that the group sees as hostile to LGBT people and people of color. The statement says tourists should understand that Florida is openly hostile towards African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ individuals. So they're issuing these advisories. Now, of course, let's understand what's going on here. This is all about an effort to try to discredit and or embarrass Ron DeSantis, to weaken him as he gets ready to announce that he's going to run for president. Well, I want to talk about the general concept. So you've got the NAACP issuing a travel advisory. Don't go to Florida. Our number, 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Is anybody going to listen? Is anybody going to listen? I remember, let's just talk about recent history, Georgia. And you had all these attacks when Georgia was passing some voting laws and things like that. And you had Joe Biden coming on saying this is going to be Jim Crow 2.0, all this just overheated rhetoric that was nothing but a bunch of poppycock. But it was overheated rhetoric. Here, don't go to Georgia. Don't do this. Don't do that. It pretty much fizzled. So you've got the NAACP and a couple other interest groups who don't like Ron DeSantis and are trying to, again, undercut Ron DeSantis. They're issuing travel advisories saying, don't go to Florida. Is anybody going to listen? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Will this hurt the state of Florida in any way, shape, or form? I'll give you my ideas, and we'll discuss in just a moment. 855-616-1620.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
Hey, boaters!
We have the go-to marine store. And it's not just because we have all the boat parts and supplies you'll ever need, including oddball parts you thought you'd never be able to find. And it's also because we're cheaper than the other guys, too. So why shop anywhere else? This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. When you get here, you might be overwhelmed when you see so much stuff. But don't be, because our staff knows just where to find what you need. They're knowledgeable, friendly, and willing to help so that you can find everything you need to keep your boat in tip-top shape. Boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
CPAP is one option that can be used to keep the throat open at night. It can work. There are other ways of keeping that airway open other than the machine. Another option that most people have never heard of is an oral appliance. An oral appliance is like a retainer that you wear when you're sleeping at night. It's super slim, slides in your mouth, and what it does is it helps to keep your airway open. That's exactly what a CPAP machine does. Most people who are good candidates for a CPAP machine to treat their sleep apnea are also good candidates for an oral appliance. Most of those people never get offered an oral appliance. Advent has decided to change the practice of medicine in this country by offering oral appliances to our patients. And what that means is we are allowing our patients to have the choice of a CPAP machine or oral appliance when they have sleep apnea, and that's a big deal.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventNows.com.
If you're looking for the finest of furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. I always thought Vince Lombardi came up with that famous sports nugget, but it turns out he borrowed it from a college coach. And now I'm going to borrow it too, because when there are 10 or 20 offers on a property, there's only one winner. In today's inventory-starved real estate market, you need a Lombardi-level mortgage coach, one who has all the best plays in the playbook. Going with your bank for your pre-approval is like playing in a professional playoff game with the JV coach at the helm. The Lombardi-level coaches at AccuNet are called senior loan consultants, and each one has been trained by me to help you and your real estate agent work as one team to deliver the one and only thing that matters, winning. So if you've been losing with your flimsy bank pre-approval, trade up today to a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and a Lombardi-level game plan. And if you're just getting started, why not start with the best? Click on the blue button today and get started with your winning game plan at ACCUNET.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620, which is the old National Bank talk and text line. I would say a half dozen of the tweets, the texts that we just received, essentially make this point. Jeff, I'm curious, has the NAACP issued a travel advisory about going to Chicago? And if not, how can anyone view their advisory about travel to Florida as anything but politically motivated? Have you looked at the crime that is going on, particularly black-on-black crime in the city of Chicago? Number of people making that point. But no, the week that Ron DeSantis is getting ready to announce that he's going to run for president, you get a travel advisory against Florida by the NAACP and a couple other interest groups as well, saying, oh, they've got policies that are hostile to this type of American or that type of American. Is this going to work? Let's start with Mike in Illinois. Mike, you're on WTMJ.
Good afternoon, Jeff. How are you?
Hi, Mike.
First of all, I have to say that I don't think the NAACP is a advocacy organization. I think they're a shakedown organization that gets money by, trying to put pressure on governments and companies. I don't think this is going to hurt them too much. I think the only people that will probably try to adhere to this advisory or ban is the ultra-liberal whites. I don't even think the average black person will heed this. People are still going to go to Disney World. They're still going to go to Universal Studios, all the other touristy things that people do down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is, as you said, nothing but political.
Thanks for call. Well, it's right. I can't imagine too many people saying, "Oh, okay, now." And look, let's understand what this was all about. This is not serious. This is about exactly what they're trying to do: get a headline in the paper the week before or the week that Ron DeSantis announces he's going to run for president, so you can, again, help your allies on the other side build this narrative that Ron DeSantis is this or Ron DeSantis is that. Candidly, as somebody who has a residence, has a place in Florida, I mean, if you try going down to Southwest Florida in March when it's spring break and all the grandparents are bringing the kids down and stuff, it takes you forever to get places. So, I mean, if this is an idea and it ends up whether it's black or white or brown or green or blue people deciding, hey, maybe I'm going to stay away in March because the traffic's so great, well, okay, maybe that's even a plus. But in all seriousness, here, this is not a serious type of thing, and I can't believe that serious people are going to at least take this seriously in any regard. 855-616-1620. Jeff, a number of people are also making this point. The president of the NAACP lives in Florida, Tampa, I believe. How ironic is that? Yes, I think that that's the case as well. One of our texters suggests that, well, it's not going to hurt tourism. It's not going to hurt people traveling, but it might make persons of color or persons in the LGBTQ community, make them more reluctant to move to Florida. Really? I mean, seriously. So if you have a job offer in Florida, you're not going to move down there because the NAACP suggests not to do it. If your goal has been to try to find let's say you're at a certain point in time, you're a person of color, and you're now ready to retire, and you're tired of long winters and the high crime rate in Chicago, and you can afford to move to Florida, you're not going to do it because the NAACP suggests, otherwise. Don't think so. And again, this is how these things just blow up big time, where you have these, and I'm going to describe the NAACP as an advocacy group. They're pushing for various issues, but you need to understand why stuff is happening and when stuff is happening, and that is because there's a lot of people who are very, very afraid that if Ron DeSantis gets into the race, and he is going to, and if Ron DeSantis is the Republican nominee for president, I think there's a decent chance that that could happen. I think there's some other people who will be interesting as well. But the concern is if DeSantis is the nominee, he's going to win. So what we have to do is we have to do everything we possibly can to undermine that candidacy. And what better way than implying that, Ron DeSantis is the governor of Florida, is some sort of evil, hateful racist. And how better could you do that than having the NAACP announce that, we're issuing a travel advisory to Florida. It's all politics, pure and simple. It plays into the hands of some people that are out there trying to trash DeSantis. But just like efforts to undermine Georgia completely and totally failed, just like these efforts to, we're going to issue bans on these types of things, almost always, or travel advisories, almost always fail because people see through them. This is the same situation. If anything, in a weird sort of way, just like when Donald Trump got charged criminally in New York and it helped his poll numbers go up, I wouldn't be surprised if in a backlash to some of this stuff, Ron DeSantis's poll numbers go up as well. If the NAACP is out to get him, maybe that means that there's a reason why other people should look at him. Just saying. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ. No, he's not going to put you in the lineup. But luckily, this is the closest you can get to the skipper himself.
Robin is the all-time Brewer for sure.
Greg Council, every Tuesday on Wisconsin's Morning News at 7:45.
Willie is, I think a player that, is capable of taking down some of the things that Robin has done.
This is Brewers 360, presented by Holiday Automotive and Outdoor Living Unlimited.
Eric Bilstead from Wisconsin's Morning News for J.D. Griffiths. For more than 75 years, J.D. Griffiths has been a leader in detached garage builds and premier garage doors. My wife and I have a house about 20 years old. We knew it was time. It needed an upgrade. The doors in the front of the house just looked a little dingy, banged up, so we went to jdgriffiths.com. That's the website, jdgriffiths.com. We got a free at-home estimate, and away we went. Just a few weeks later, brand new doors, and they look great. We were able to customize. We got a great look there. We have some windows now, so I get some nice natural light. And the garage doors are just one of the many things J.D. Griffiths does. They also, remember, detached garage builds as well, and they'll even service issues you're having with your garage doors currently. J.D. Griffiths and jdgriffiths.com. Go to the website now. Get your free at-home estimate set up. J.D. Griffiths and jdgriffiths.com.
The new Raid Essentials Light Trap uses light to attract, then trap, flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. For insecticide protection that's people and pet friendly, get new Raid Essential Light Trap.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com.
88% of hiring managers want to see better job candidates than they're getting.
and it takes an average of 87 hours to manage a single job opening. Let LAK Group help. They streamline the recruiting process, focusing on identifying, selecting, and integrating a sustainable pipeline of diverse talent who fit your company professionally and culturally. Let LAK Group's executive recruiting services help you find great candidates. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group. Discover your human advantage.
Grandview buys homes. Hi, I'm Tom Delich, here to tell you Grandview will buy your home in any condition. Water damage, mold, cracks in the foundation, not a problem. Electrical issues, bad roof, peeling paint. We've seen and bought them all. Or maybe your home just hasn't been updated in 20 or 30 years. Grandview will buy your home too. Don't do a single repair. And best, take only the belongings you want and leave the rest to us. Sell your home as is today. Call the name you know and the name you trust. GrandviewHomes.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
One of our texters gets it. Jeff, if Florida is such a hostile place for people of color to visit, why aren't they telling Florida residents to leave Florida? Well, that's an interesting point. Of course, the head of the NAACP lives in Florida, so that would be involved moving. But yeah, I mean, Florida, let's see, no state income tax. Well, you've got that. You've got, a little bit hot in the summer, but you've got nice weather. Matter of fact, if you look at where the migration is coming from, if you look at people who are pouring into Florida, they are coming from cities like, New York. They're coming from cities like Chicago. They're coming from some of the big cities that have generally been run into the ground by liberal policies. And you have people who partly trying to, again, chase better economics, no state income tax and things like that, chase better weather, but also, we're trying to get away from high crime, high taxes, all these type of things. Yeah, that's why Florida continues to be one of the states in the country that is a magnet that is growing its population, while, like I say, a lot of these bigger cities, particularly the blue cities, they're seeing a mass exodus that is going on. But yeah, let's warn people of color, or let's warn people from the LGBTQ community. Let's warn them about Florida. Well, I don't see any sort of migration coming from Florida, which is interesting. I made a reference just a little while ago to the down ballot drag, and one of the reasons why you're starting to see all this negative scrutiny of Ron DeSantis, and it's because in many cases both Democrats and the mainstream media, they don't want to see Ron DeSantis win, because if Ron DeSantis is the Republican nominee, as opposed to Donald Trump, they know that that's not good for Democrats who are being supported by many people in the mainstream media and, of course, the Democratic Party. And, the Washington Post just had a poll that demonstrates that. Okay, so they asked this question, and it was, are you more likely to vote for a Democrat for Congress if Trump is the nominee or if DeSantis is the nominee? And what happened was that if DeSantis is the nominee, Republicans win. Again, it's a generic sort of down ballot thing. They win 47 to 42. Trump, the question is much more up in the air. It's even, 44 to 44. There's no question that DeSantis is viewed as a much stronger candidate, and that's why there's this effort to undermine him. When we come back, one more story on national politics, actually two more stories on national politics today, but there's somebody who is also getting in the race this week that has the potential to change the dynamic. I'll explain, we'll discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
What's your favorite number?
48, because you can get 48 months interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic at Hasselus Mattress.
The number 48 is associated with abundance and stability.
Like the abundant stability and comfort of Tempur-Pedic.
Prosperity and wealth.
Like a $300 MasterCard Rewards gift card with your Tempur-Pedic purchase.
I think 48 may be my favorite number too.
Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselus.com.
Outdoor living here is great, but it's best when it's at your own home. And there's a company called Outdoor Living Unlimited that will build you a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, all manner of things to enhance outdoor living at your place, even an outdoor kitchen. Contact Outdoor Living Unlimited and get creative about your yard. Your wishes, your ideas. Outdoor Living Unlimited's knowledge and expertise. Roll those dreams into reality. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com. That's OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
They say reach for the stars. But what happens when you fly too close to the sun?
62 pitches out of the bullpen for Lauer. Ready, and another 3-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. It's time to stretch in Milwaukee.
Our Brewers Astros coverage starts tonight at 6:05 on News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
1 o'clock, we have 67 degrees, sunny, nice weather today. High 74 Lakeside, 78 inland. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. The investigation into a crash that killed one person, hurt 3 others continues today. According to the Dodge County Sheriff's Office, crash happened early Saturday morning on Highway 151 in the town of Chester. Deputies say a double trailer semi was parked on the shoulder when a car drifted onto that shoulder and crashed into the semi. The front seat passenger pronounced dead at the scene. 3 others in the car, including a 9-year-old, seriously hurt. Deadly police shooting in Racine. State DOJ investigating that incident near 6th and Howland overnight. Suspect fired at officers after running from a traffic stop. Police fired back, hitting and killing the suspect. No law enforcement officers were injured. Community leaders of Uvalde, Texas held a press conference today to update the community as families and survivors prepare to mark 1 year since the school shooting at Robb Elementary. Mayor Don McLaughlin addressed the city's ongoing probe into the law enforcement response at the day of the shooting and expressed frustration that almost a year after the tragedy, they still don't have the answers families need to seek justice.
Everybody was there that day has to be held accountable, whether it be the school police department, the Uvalde Police Department, every agency that was there. And this is my opinion. It's been a bunch of BS, and we've been a year, and we're still waiting for answers that we are.
21 were killed, including 19 children. In court today in Idaho,
Very much. Please be seated.
Brian Kohberger, accused of stabbing to death 4 University of Idaho students last November, made an appearance. Trial was set for October. Kohberger, a grad student, says he is innocent. White House negotiators arrived on Capitol Hill this morning as the president and House Speaker prep for another round of debt ceiling talks today. Negotiations set to restart after talks broke down over the weekend.
President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy last spoke Sunday morning. The two framing their conversation as productive, though McCarthy says he and the president remain far apart. Sources familiar tell ABC News the two camps are at odds over some core points, including defense spending and whether to increase work requirements for some federal aid programs. The Treasury Secretary is pushing for a deal soon, warning the country could enter default as soon as June 1st. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
A bill introduced to the U.S. House of Representatives Friday that aims to bring more experience to the Federal Reserve has roots in Wisconsin. The bill, titled the Supervision Banking Experience Requirement Act, was co-introduced by Representative Scott Fitzgerald of Juneau. The bill would require anyone nominated to the Federal Reserve's Vice Chairman of Supervision to have primary experience in banking or other holding companies. The Federal Reserve's current Vice Chairman of Supervision, Michael Barr, who was nominated by President Biden late last year, has come under scrutiny following the collapse of Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and First Republic Bank earlier this year. Egg and milk production were up in Wisconsin in 2023.
A new report from the U.S. Department of Agriculture shows Wisconsin farmers produced 195 million eggs in 2023, up 66% from the same time last year, and on the rebound from the avian flu, which decimated a large majority of egg-laying chickens in the state. Milk production also grew to 2.64 billion pounds, up slightly from the previous April, but along similar trends from years prior. Sandy Max, WTMJ News.
Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
So if you're already in a relationship with an auto service center, that's great. We hope things keep firing on all cylinders.
But if you're not in a relationship, why not book your next date with us at Richlands the next time you're due for service?
All of our locations are AAA approved and staffed by ASC certified technicians with PhDs in
We can fix anything!
Put that on top of the friendliest, hardest working staff you'll ever meet inside a tire and service center.
And you've got yourself a rock-solid date.
The next time you're due for factory scheduled maintenance
Or tires, brakes, and suspension service.
book your date at richlawns.com.
Or just Google us. But remember, Richlands is spelled with 2 N's.
And oh yeah, be safe, buckle up, and hey.
Always make sure you have good tread on your tires. I'm Courtney Matchkey with Richlands, and you're due for a date.
Clever.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
I don't want to go to bed at night dreading waking up in the morning knowing that I'm going to feel like a rusty lawn chair getting out of bed and getting opened up and not being able to really move for a couple hours really throughout the day.
For former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter and those dealing with daily aches and pains, QC Kinetics regenerative pain treatments are a game changer, providing long-lasting relief.
Go into a specific joint, a specific region, and then help promote that healing process using your own body's mechanisms to heal. I mean, that's been something that's pretty powerful, and there's no surgery, there's no downtime.
QC Kinetics natural treatments help the body heal and restore itself. No more rusty lawn chair.
It's no surprise to see people being willing to try this first, especially when it has such great results.
Pain relief the natural way. QC Kinetics. Call today for your complimentary consultation. Find out if you're a good candidate for treatment.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
Despite winning just 2 games on a 6-game road trip, the Brewers return home in first place in the NL Central. A 6-game homestand begins tonight against the Houston Astros. Coverage gets underway at 6:05 on WTMJ. Organized team activities underway for 20 teams in the NFL, including the Green Bay Packers. Hear from Packers head coach Matt LaFleur later today on Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Aaron Rodgers in attendance at Jets organized team activities. And in the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers need a win to keep their season alive. The Nuggets can sweep the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals with a win tonight in Los Angeles. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Still slow going. I-894 from the Hale interchange to the Mitchell interchange. About an 11-minute drive right now. 94 westbound from downtown to the zoo running about 6. The zoo to Highway 16 about 10 minutes. 43 northbound from downtown to Brown Deer Road 10. And 94 southbound from the Marquette interchange to Layton Avenue about 7 minutes.
Traffic is sponsored by Harwood Place Senior Living. Learn about Harwood Place Retirement Living's newly renovated apartments and updated pricing options at their June 1st open house. To RSVP or to schedule a tour, visit harwoodplace.org.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunshine today. High 74, lakeside 78 inland. Mostly clear tonight. Lows 53 to 46. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high 77. Then Wednesday, a little bit of a cool down. Partly cloudy, breezy, maybe a shower. High 55. Sunny on Thursday, but still cool with high 60 to 66. And Friday, mostly sunny. High 64 lakeside to 70 inland. Right now, Madison 76. Green Bay 74. Milwaukee 67 degrees. I'm Connie Weber. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. Hopefully in the next couple days, we're going to make an exception to a general rule with the way I operate this program. If you're a regular listener, you know that I rarely have guests on, and there's a wide variety of reasons for that. And that's fine. I never tell other hosts, how to do their shows. Just for my show, over the 25 years we've been doing this, I find that guests generally tend to slow down the show and serve kind of as a barrier between you and me when we're talking about things. But I do make exceptions from time to time. I made an exception several months ago, leading into the elections last November, when I had the opportunity to have Republican Senator from South Carolina, Tim Scott, on the program. Tim Scott was coming into Wisconsin. He was going to attend. It was a rally, and he was with Ron Johnson. It was an event that was being held in Racine, and he was coming into town. And I had the opportunity to talk to him, and we did the interview. And then I had a chance that the next day there was an event that I was invited to, and I had a chance to meet him. And as I think back on that interview, At one point in time, my wife I told him, I said, Senator, my wife thinks, you need to run for president. And he kind of like sort of deftly, avoided that sort of question. Then we were at this event with Tim Scott, and I said, Senator, this is the lady I was talking to you about. And to this day, she sings the praises of Tim Scott. I bring this up because Tim Scott, senator from South Carolina, has announced that he is going to be running for president. And I understand that immediately there are a number of people who are saying, okay, who is Tim Scott? And don't you understand, this is Donald Trump's race to win, and why are we even talking about these people? Well, we're talking about these people because this, in my opinion, is if Tim Scott were to gain traction, and I understand that is an if, this is a game changer in American politics. And I'm willing to bet that many of you have no idea who Tim Scott really is, but it's one of the more compelling stories in American politics lately. Tim Scott, again, he's the senator. He was reelected to the U.S. Senate from South Carolina last November with 62% of the vote. He has, unlike he is, by the way, he is black. Unlike a number of candidates who are getting into this race without any sort of wherewithal, Tim Scott has amassed a huge war chest. He's got like $20-30 million already, so he can be a player, just like Ron DeSantis can be a player. It takes money to run for president. But Tim Scott has an incredible background. He's the son of a single mom who was, raised in South Carolina. His ancestors were slaves. His ancestors, were brought to South Carolina, and he was raised like that. His dad was a Vietnam veteran. His mom was a nurse who worked double shifts from 7 in the morning till 11 at night. His grandfather left school in the 3rd grade to pick cotton for 50 cents a day. It's an incredible success story. As a freshman in high school, he failed English, Spanish, geography, and civics. His mom made him go to summer school and find a job to pay for it. It's just an amazing sort of story that is out there. So after he got out of college, he ended up selling insurance. He eventually grew this business into, he was selling Allstate insurance. He grew it into a 3,000 customer business. And then, he got involved in politics. He was on the county council. Then he ran for, state senate, got elected to the seat in the South Carolina State House. Ultimately, what ended up happening is when Senator Jim DeMint, who was resigning, Nikki Haley, governor, appointed him to fill out the balance of DeMint's term. So he took over, won a special election, 61% of the vote, and then, like I say, was overwhelmingly, reelected again when he ran for the rest of the term, and then was reelected with 62% of the vote. And he's really an interesting guy because he's what scares a lot of liberals. He is a black conservative. He says, look, I don't believe America is a racist country. He says, look at what I was able to accomplish. It might be challenging, but he rejects that notion that's out there. And he points to his own success story that is there. He's conservative. He is a pro-life candidate, but at the same time, he also, I think, has a reasonable approach to this. He criticizes what he believes is the victim mentality that exists in American culture. He is very critical of the left for using racial issues, he argues, as a means of further dividing the electorate. In any event, he's got an incredibly compelling backstory, and he's got an incredibly compelling message. One other thing, he's 57 years old. So, I mean, heaven forbid we have somebody who is running for president who isn't in his upper 70s or in his 80s. He's 57 years old, again, with this compelling backstory. Now, look, I don't know. I don't know if he can gain traction. I don't. I will tell you, though, that this is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting candidates to come down the road in a long, long time. And part of it is because of this backstory. It's somebody who came from very, very limited means, who has not been a career politician, who built a business, and who understands the challenges that you have. And if you ever have an opportunity to hear him speak in person, he's soft-spoken, he's unassuming. I think that would be a fair word to use to describe him. And he is, at least in my opinion, he's extremely personable and he's extremely likable. And I don't know how this all plays out, but I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to see somebody like Tim Scott getting involved in politics, because in my opinion, he is exactly the type of person that we need to see in politics. And I'm so thrilled that there's going to be other choices that are out there. That's one of the reasons that one of the missions of my producer Charlie is going to be to kind of track him down and see, if we can get him on in the next couple of days, because I enjoyed our conversation several months ago. Right now, our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. And here's the approach. Whether it's Tim Scott or Nikki Haley or somebody else, aren't you glad to see alternatives that are starting to emerge to Donald Trump and to Joe Biden? And maybe Tim Scott isn't your cup of tea, okay? I get it. But isn't it nice to have alternatives? And isn't it nice to have alternatives that, like I say, aren't 78 and 80 and 82 and 86 if they complete their term? Isn't it nice to have alternatives and choices? And are we open to that as we move into the 2024 election cycle? And my answer is yes. And I hope people are willing to take a look at some of these candidates that are, in fact, emerging. 855-616-1620. Let's talk about it. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Yeah, 2017 was a long time ago, but we still took out the trash just to make sure.
Here we go. Onto the warning track, to the wall, gone! Joey Wiemer backspins one out of here to center.
It's the Brewers hosting the Astros at American Family Field. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. This series is sponsored by Steinhoffel's Memorial Day Sale.
Are you feeling stretched thin by the pressures of growing your business? Well, retaining top talent and staying compliant in changing times? Fortunately, though, there's Insperity. They put over 35 years of HR experience to work, offering your employees competitive benefit options, all the while providing the HR support that you need to thrive. Look, with Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Scalable HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
A wiser way to build your wealth.
A wiser way to build your wealth starts with choosing a financial planning firm that is fee-only, because it means they work for you. Fee-only firms like Financial Strategies, Inc. don't work for a bank or brokerage firm or an insurance company or mutual fund company, because we don't want our decisions for your best interest compromised in any way. We work for you, and only in your best interest. And fee-only means the success we care about most is yours. Ask your advisor, are you 100% fee-only for 100% of your clients 100% of the time? If they answer no, get a second opinion. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., a fee-only comprehensive financial planning firm. And I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
If mom or dad aren't comfortable with assisted living, now's the time to have their home equipped to accommodate their needs. There's a huge customer appreciation sale going on at Miller Mobility, June 9th and 10th. Save on stair lifts, ramps, scooters, lift chairs, bathroom safety, and more. Miller Mobility can equip any home to accommodate everything a senior needs without moving into an assisted living facility. Mention this ad and save an additional 10%. See their huge showroom in Oconomowoc or visit millermobility.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Jeff, I love Tim Scott. He gave an amazing rebuttal when President Biden was elected. Yeah, that was the response to the Biden State of the Union address back in 2021. Jeff, Tim Scott knows what it's like to be average. Yeah, that's it. Jeff, I will not vote for either Biden or Trump in the next election. I'm thankful for alternatives as long as we don't have 15 people running against Trump, which would just split the vote. The Republican Party needs good options. For those of you not familiar with Tim Scott, let me, again, I gave you the guy's background, which I think is so compelling. And one of the things that is so interesting is that he rejects the racial narrative you get from so many people. But at the same time, recognizing this, he says he's been stopped by a Capitol police officer on his way into the Capitol to vote 5 times. Each time, after showing the officer my credentials, I'm detained. Each time, I've had to ask my white colleagues to tell the officer who I was. He says, nowadays, whenever I hear about the black experience, the only stories I hear are the hard stories. And while I believe these stories are important to tell, if you listen to the national narrative, you would think that each and every one of us has lived a life of desperate pain, heartache, and misery. You would think black people across our great nation are victims of pretty much everything. What a ridiculous way to view the world. He says, people are fixated on my color. I'm just not. I'm just not. Jeff, he writes, when I look at our nation, I don't see division. I don't for one second believe the false narrative of a racist, divided America that has been spun by big media. He says injustice is real, but infinitely more real is opportunity. He says there are 2 ways to view history. One is to shine an unwavering light on the myriad of atrocities that have befallen us. He's talking about persons of color. And there is nothing wrong with having a realistic and honest accounting of history. In fact, it's vital that we do so. It helps us to keep from repeating it. From my experience, however, dwelling on the pain of the past for too long threatens to keep us mired there. When I look back, I prefer to focus on how far we've come. Only then can I envision how beautiful the road ahead could be. Isn't that interesting that you have that approach? And he's been touring the country articulating this. And, of course, the response from the American left has been to label him as an Uncle Tom. If you remember, like I said, he gave the rebuttal to Biden's State of the Union address in April of 2021. And the big trending thing on Twitter then was Uncle Tim. That was the way he was derisively referred to. How dare you have a conservative black man come and express this stuff? And here's his response to that. He says, for those of you on the left, you can call me a prop, you can call me a token, you can call me the N-word, you can question my blackness, you can even call me Uncle Tim. Just understand, your words are no match for my evidence. Your pessimism is no match for my history. My existence shows your irrelevance. The truth of my life disproves your lies. All I am saying is, for those of you who are out there who are frustrated with the status quo and frustrated with the choices, and I hear from you all the time, oh my God, I can't believe 2024 is going to be Biden and Trump again. My head wants to explode. Believe me, I know where you're coming from. All I am telling you is that there are compelling alternatives that are out there. Maybe it's Ron DeSantis from Florida, but maybe, just maybe, it's Tim Scott who's getting into the race today. And if you haven't heard about him, all right, he's somebody you might want to pay attention to because, like I say, I think he's the real deal, and I think he offers a perspective that we're missing and have been missing for a while in American politics. Did I mention he's in his mid-50s, for goodness sakes? Somebody running for office who's not 75 or 80 or 85 years old when they wrap up their term. Oh, what a surprise that is. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Sometimes saying, I've got a guy, isn't convenient when you need a lot of different people for different needs. A roof guy, paint guy, interior remodel guy, J&J Contractors do it all. With top-of-the-line quality craftsmanship that's all custom or semi-custom.
In addition to full interior remodels, J&J Contractors' skilled and certified team members use high-quality materials for all of your exterior needs: roofing, siding, windows, and gutters. Contact them today to schedule a consultation. Just Google J&J Contractors.
Skylight Music Theater presents Super You, showing May 26th through June 18th. Super You is an empowering woman-led new musical celebrating the journey of a comic book artist who learns to love herself and find her voice when her own superheroine creations come to life. Led by an all-female creative team featuring a diverse cast of performers, Super You explores themes of overcoming grief and finding inner strength. Showing May 26th through June 18th. Tickets start at $40. Visit skylightmusictheater.org to get your Super You tickets today.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. I always thought Vince Lombardi came up with that famous sports nugget, but it turns out he borrowed it from a college coach. And now I'm going to borrow it too, because when there are 10 or 20 offers on a property, there's only one winner. In today's inventory-starved real estate market, you need a Lombardi-level mortgage coach, one who has all the best plays in the playbook. Going with your bank for your pre-approval is like playing in a professional playoff game with the JV coach at the helm. The Lombardi-level coaches at AccuNet are called senior loan consultants, and each one has been trained by me to help you and your real estate agent work as one team to deliver the one and only thing that matters: winning. So if you've been losing with your flimsy bank pre-approval, trade up today to a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and a Lombardi-level game plan. And if you're just getting started, why not start with the best? Click on the blue button today and get started with your winning game plan at accunet.com.
Hi, it's Mary Ann. Spring weather is certainly unpredictable, but at Heiser, our prices aren't. Find the perfect vehicle on our lots, or we'll help you special order one. You'll get upfront pricing, no hidden market adjustment fees, and we have inventory under MSRP. Stop in or shop online at Heiser.com. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Here is a classic example of why you can never save the taxpayers' money. Because when government officials get a chance to spend money, they will spend it. I mean, one of the things that's going on with the debt limit discussions, one of the things that the Republicans are trying to do, because spending is out of control, they're saying, all right, this money that we set aside for the COVID emergency, the money that we set aside, well, now that the emergency's over, this money that hasn't been spent, let's just use it to reduce spending. All right, it was supposed to be spent during the emergency, hasn't been spent, so let's just keep it. All right, and they're getting all sorts of blowback. Well, how dare you? You know, we decided to spend this during an emergency. It wasn't needed to be spent during the emergency, so how dare we not spend it? And Republicans are saying, look, this is the low-hanging fruit. This is money. The pandemic is over. You know, we don't need emergency spending anymore. Let's at least save this. And they're getting huge blowback. You're seeing a story about that locally. Now, the latest huge white elephant that we have committed tens of millions of dollars to around here is this not really so high-speed bus rapid transit line, which will run from the lakefront essentially out to the Medical College, Wisconsin, at a cost of $50-some million. We've already talked about how it's going to, if you ride the entire route, it shaves like 8 minutes off the entire trip. But that's only if you ride the entire route. And what we've had is we've now eliminated various city street lanes on various streets to commit them to this not-so-high-speed bus. And the estimates are this is going to increase bus ridership dramatically. And the same people that are making those estimates are probably the same ones who talked about all the people that would be paying money to ride the hop, and that hasn't turned out. But here's the deal. Apparently, the Federal Transit Administration has come through with a $2.1 million grant through the American Rescue Plan Act. This is, again, the COVID money. And it's designed to reduce the local cost of the project, right? It's federal money, which is supposed to make the installation of this cheaper. Well, here's the deal. Apparently, the people that put this all together, they've already borrowed to build the bus lines and stuff. So now you've got $2.1 million that's coming in. You would think that you would take that $2.1 million and use it to reduce the debt that we have on the project, right? That's what like normal people would do. Hey, all of a sudden, this was designed for this. I've got this extra $2 million that's now come in. Great. We can pay off some of the bonding. We can pay off some of the debt. But this is government. What they have decided to do is instead of, since they've already, again, gone into debt for the cost of the project, now you get this $2.1 million that's coming in. Instead of using it to pay down the debt, what they've decided to do is to spend it. So they're going to take this $2.1 million and build a site on this vacant lot that they're going to try to turn into the Vel Phillips Plaza right next door to where I'm sitting right now. And they're going to try to increase amenities at some of the other places. So instead of using this extra money to do what I think would be responsible and say, okay, well, that's fine, let's reduce the overall cost of the project. No, we've got this extra money in here, let's go out and let's spend it. And this is why you never get control on government spending, because unlike in the real world, where if hey, suddenly, you've taken out a home loan, and then all of a sudden you get some extra money that was designed to reduce the cost of the home in the first place. Most people would use it to, again, if you were being responsible, to pay down the cost of the loan. That's not what we do in government. Hey, this is free money. Let's spend it and buy even more stuff. And that is precisely what they are doing with this bus line, adding to the cost of it. Go figure. WTMJ Breaking News time is 1:30 p.m. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, here's Wyatt Barmore-Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. The Wisconsin Department of Justice is investigating an officer-involved shooting in Racine. According to the DOJ, Mount Pleasant police officers received a call for shots fired late Sunday evening. A couple hours later, the Racine Police Department initiated a traffic stop on this subject. The driver left the vehicle and fled on foot. They found him in tall grass near 6th and Howland. And then when officers approached, he refused orders and began firing shots at them. They shot back, it struck and killed him. No law enforcement or officers were injured. We are expecting an update from the DOJ this afternoon around 2 p.m. A family is mourning today after a 16-year-old boy was hit and killed by a train in Burlington. The Racine County Sheriff's Office has confirmed the boy is Jack Myers, a junior at Burlington High School. They say the teen was riding his bike and ignored the warnings at the railroad crossing before he was hit by the train. And obtaining a work permit in Wisconsin has gotten a lot easier. The Department of Workforce Development is launching a work permit application online, allowing for transactions to be completed online. Previously, you had to go to brick-and-mortar locations to do that. Work permits are required for workers ages 15 or 14 before they could work any job except farming or service work. More than 135,000 teenagers are employed in the state of Wisconsin. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down about 0.25%. It's down 70 points. The S&P and NASDAQ both up. The NASDAQ up a little over 0.5%. It's up 78 points. And the S&P is up 0.25%. It is up 10. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com, and you can click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Looks like we've got a couple incidents reported. We've got debris reported on, it is 4394 northbound at the ramp from 6th and Mineral Street. That is blocking the left lane. That's something to watch out for. Further south of that, we have a crash on Highway 38 south at Air Cargo Way by the airport. The left lane is blocked there. And in Waukesha County, we got a disabled vehicle on 94 eastbound, 2.5 miles beyond the ramp from Barker Road. That one off on the shoulder. Looks like there aren't any major slowdowns right now, though, so things are looking pretty good.
Traffic is sponsored by Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Milwaukee Mattress, where top quality mattresses are priced hundreds less than premium national mattress brands. Found exclusively at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Today, sunny and beautiful. A high of 74 at the lake, 78 degrees inland. Tonight, mainly clear. A low of 53. Tomorrow is going to be mostly sunny. A high of 77. Wednesday, partly cloudy, breezy and cooler. A slight chance of showers. The high is only 55. Still cool on Thursday. It will be sunny. A high of 60 at the lake, 66 inland. And Friday, it's going to be mostly sunny, a little bit warmer, a high of 64. In Watertown, it's 77. In Grafton, it's 66. And in Milwaukee, it is 66 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1:33.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, Honest Officer, I wasn't driving. We were all in the back singing. I'll explain. We'll discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
If you're feeling vibrations in your steering wheel after reaching speeds of over 50 miles per hour, you should bring it into Richlands and let us fix it for you.
If your brakes are making weird noises or feel strange every time you apply them, you should bring it into Richlands and let us fix it for you.
If your engine light is on, you should bring it to Richlands.
And let us fix it for you, because there isn't an auto service repair job on the planet that our service techs can't fix.
Courtney's right. Just check out some of our Google reviews. A whole lot of stars means a whole lot of happy customers.
Proof's in the pudding. So whether you need factory scheduled maintenance
or tires, brakes, and suspension service, we've got your back.
5 conveniently located facilities, all AAA approved,
and all staffed by ASE certified technicians. I'm Brett Matchke, and the next time you're due for service,
bring it into Richlands and let us fix it for you.
Richlands Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richlands.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, a group of doctors I trusted with my knee surgery. The pain was real and options were important. My experience with each doctor was thorough, the appointments were timely, always close and easy access to the building. My mom felt the same way, I know, when she went there for her physical therapy appointments at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. I trusted their surgical team for my knee surgery, and I know they'll take care of you the way they did my mom and me. Make an appointment at orthowisconsin.com.
Memorial Day honors the incredible sacrifices made by our brave Americans who served in the United States military. At Tayback Law, we honor these sacrifices year-round by ensuring veterans receive all of the benefits they are entitled to from the Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm attorney Jim Brzezinski at Tayback Law. If you were denied or feel that your disability claim has been incorrectly evaluated by the VA, let's discuss how Tayback Law can help you get the benefits you deserve. At Tayback Law, we fight for those who fought for us. Visit TaybackAttorneys.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I fully recognize that I am swimming upstream when it comes to this issue because we're in the situation where we're in a situation where everybody, the argument when it comes to legalizing marijuana is that people do it anyways. It's not as bad, or it's certainly no worse than alcohol. So let's just go ahead and do it. And I mean, I've tried to raise some of the practical concerns about this. Like, for example, do you want the guy that's driving the Zoomobile, who's going to be hauling your kids around on school buses or whatever? Do you want him to be, high on marijuana or to have been smoking dope on his way into work, et cetera, et cetera? And most people say, well, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Do you want the guy that's up on the roof or laying bricks or, doing construction work or whatever? Do you want that person to have, I don't know, spent the morning or his lunch hour smoking pot and then coming into the job site? And the argument I get is, well, no, that's not a very good idea. We agree with that, but the problem is, we don't want them drinking either. Well, the issue, though, is how do you tell if they are impaired on marijuana? And there was a story in the New York Times, and I know it pained the New York Times to write this story, but marijuana has been decriminalized in New York State. And so here's the headline of the story that caught my attention. Why it's so hard to crack down on stoned drivers in New York. Smoking marijuana while driving appears to have become ubiquitous in New York City after the drug's legalization. It's a trend, though, that though illegal, is not easy to curb. And so the premise of the story is, okay, you're not allowed, you're allowed to get yourself high, but you're not allowed to operate a car, a vehicle, under the influence of marijuana. The problem is that unlike with drinking and driving, where there are very, very clear defined standards. You take a blood alcohol test, right? And the blood alcohol tests, if you test 0.08 or above, there is a presumption that, that in and of itself is against the law. Now, you can be convicted of driving while impaired if you have a lower blood alcohol level, but then they have to prove other things. But there's a pretty much of a standard. 0.08, boom. Your blood alcohol is above that. You're guilty of, driving while under the influence. Well, the problem is, let me give you an idea. In New York City, a city of 8.5 million residents, 2 million cars, 36,000 police officers. Police officials say they arrested blank number of people last year for driving under the influence of marijuana. Okay, so just think about a number. 8.5 million people, 36,000 police officers. How many people do you think got arrested for driving under the influence? 10,000? 5,000? 1,000? 500? Nope. 204 people. In comparison to over 3,300 arrests last year for drinking and driving. And what the law enforcement is saying is, look, here's the problem. They're scratching the surface, because the problem is, in order to crack down on driving high, it's very, very difficult to do. There's not a breathalyzer type of device for evaluating blood marijuana levels, difficulty to prove impairment, legal limitations when apprehending stoned drivers, unlike, what happens when you have alcohol. Then they tell this story. It's they say, they set up and they're watching people hanging outside a smoke shop in Morningside Heights. They watch customers smoke their purchases at store counters and then hop into their cars outside and drive off. Younger drivers are more likely to smoke pot and drive, and to be involved in many hundreds of fatal accidents a year statewide that authorities say are connected to drug use. So what you have here is, all right, we've legalized marijuana. Boom, that's fine. More and more people are smoking. They're smoking marijuana while they are driving. And in New York, and probably in Wisconsin as well, the fact that you can't just pull them over, you have to have a reason for pulling them over in the first place. But the problems of proof are overwhelming. So, again, I understand whenever we talk about this, I am swimming upstream and saying, hey, maybe we should go slow on this whole idea of legalizing marijuana. But from the perspective of safety on the roadways, there is a real concern with how you apprehend people and prosecute people for driving while impaired on, in this case, on marijuana. So is that 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Is that a justification for going slow on legalizing pot, or should we just say, what do we care? We've got reckless drivers that are going around. We've got drunk drivers going around. So what do we care if we've got more people driving when they're high? One guy in the New York Times story actually says, I drive better when I'm stoned because I focus more, man. Yeah, that's right. I'm sure you think you drive better when you're stoned, but there is that kind of attitude that's out there. So 855-616-1620. Until we get a better handle on how you prosecute people for driving while high, is that a reason to kind of go slow on the whole legalization process? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
From big tailgate parties to cozy dinners for two, the freshest ideas start with a stop at Century Foods.
Now through Wednesday, save on 2.62 to 3.5 ounce spices or 0.77 to 2.12 ounce grinders, McCormick Grill Mate spices or grinders, 2 for $4. 64-ounce bottle Indian Summer Apple Juice or Cider, 2 for $4. 128-ounce bottle Hawaiian Punch Juice Drink, $3.49. 56 to 67.5 ounce bottle Extra Laundry Detergent, $2.99.
Hey, watch Why'd you throw my glass across the room?
I have to keep practicing.
The vase from Aunt Sophie?
I'm warming up in case I get to take them out at American Family Field. Read this.
Win the ultimate baseball fan experience at Century Foods?
You either get to throw out the first pitch, hold the finish line for the famous racing sausages, or be on the field during batting practice. My new TV!
Just doing a little batting practice of my own.
The ultimate baseball fan experience from Century Foods. Return the entry form found in the weekly ad to any Century by July 26th.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With spring in the air, a young man's fancy turns to ceiling fans. And BBC gets all the best brands, such as Minka Air, Fanimation, Quorum, and many, many more. With uplights, downlights, no lights, ceiling huggers, and remotes. All are lifetime warranted. In our huge showroom, you'll find the top brands of lights and fans at the lowest prices. I guarantee it. Our expert lighting staff is always here to assist you. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids. BBC is located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue near the Potawatomi Casino. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday from 10 to 4. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Ready to downsize and move from your longtime home? Call Bruce's team today. Their senior real estate specialist will guide you every step of the way. Go from overwhelmed to I can do this. 262-242-6177. Bruce'sTeam.com.
Hey, boaters!
This is Dave Dorrell from Kendor Marine. And if you're a boater and you haven't been here, ask around. And I think some of your boater buddies will tell you you're missing out. Because at Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. And when you get here, you'll know that's no exaggeration. So get in the know, because boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey, boaters!
From fishing to water sports and everyday essentials like anchors and life jackets, along with an incredible selection of hardware, Kendor Marine is a boater's paradise. This is Dave Dorrow, and our endless selection of boating parts and accessories all but assure you one-stop shopping for all your boating needs. And that's why boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. If you're just tuning in, New York Times, liberal publication, okay, has a big story over the weekend talking about how since New York State legalized marijuana, they have a huge problem that's developed because you have all these people that are driving high. And unlike with alcohol, where there's a baseline, blood alcohol level 0.08 or above, boom, then you get arrested for operating an influence. There's no baseline when it comes to marijuana. And so it's not like there's some sort of standard test that detects the marijuana level in your bloodstream and things like that. So they're effectively, for all intents and purposes, except in extreme cases, unable to prosecute people for driving while high. And it's creating huge problems. And I think you can take that one more step and say, this is going to be a huge problem for people in the workplace as well, which is, okay, how do you prove that somebody is impaired? And if you try to have like a zero tolerance policy, as we've talked about before, problem is that marijuana stays in your system for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. How do you deal with this? But, for one, the last thing you need is more people driving impaired on the roadways but unable to be prosecuted because the standards don't exist. And you sure, from a workplace perspective, don't need more people coming in, high and then going up on roofs or driving the Zoomobile or whatever. 855-616-1620. Jeff, I agree. I've been saying this from the start. Until they have a test or some sort of baseline for drivers or people operating heavy equipment to know if they are under the influence of marijuana, I don't believe we should be legalizing it. It just opens up another whole can of worms to add to the problems we already have with drunk driving and reckless driving. Mary in Brookfield. Mary, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff, you are right on. I agree with you. We don't have a baseline, and those people are irresponsible. They text and they drive. There's no baseline. Go to Mayfair Mall, and that stinks like a skunk outside in the parking lot. And then, look at, we can't smoke regular cigarettes in public in the bars and stadiums. Why should we be tolerating that stuff? What about people like me with severe asthma?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I do. Thanks. I mean, and again, I understand that there is this irony that many of the people who talk about like cigarettes and their carcinogenic effects, are the same ones who are saying, well, okay, marijuana, which is a lot more carcinogenic, that's no problem there. But again, that's an individual choice that's made. This is more of a societal one. Now, here's an interesting text. Jeff, this argument has been made by every state before legalization. After legalization, it never became a problem. Why do you think Wisconsin drivers are going to be different? No, that's the whole point of this conversation. Big story in the New York Times. It is a problem in New York. That New York State, that's it. They're not able to arrest people. That's what the cops are saying. They're saying that they believe that, for example, marijuana has been responsible for hundreds and hundreds of drug-related accidents, particularly among young people who are more inclined to smoke pot and then drive. They're saying it's a huge problem, but they're not able to prosecute hardly anybody because there is no baseline for this. So, yeah, and I think my guess is that, you would, if you were being honest, you would find this same problem in all the other states over time that ended up doing this. Now, I understand that that's not for the people that just want to go along with this here. Let's do this because, well, pot is no worse than alcohol, etc. I'm not even having that argument. I'm just saying there's not a measurement now that you can prosecute people for driving while high as a general rule. And so what we're doing is we're making it easier for people to drive while they're impaired on the roadways. Is that good? Is that a positive thing that's out there? And I understand that there are people like the potheads of the world that don't care. Oh, so somebody's driving along. They've had a couple joints. It's just going to mellow them out. Okay, that's fine until they mellow them out. They run through the red light and they hit and crash into somebody's car and kill 4 people on their way to church. Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying that there's enough of that stuff that happens as it is. I mean, there's enough reckless driving out there. There's enough intoxicated on alcohol driving that's out there. And I really do wonder where, organizations like Mothers Against Drunk Driving, where these groups are on this particular issue. Is it because, well, it's just politically incorrect to oppose legalization of marijuana? So, we're not going to kind of fight this battle. I just raised this issue because before we do these various things, you think you have to think it through. And okay, what is the social consequence going to be for this? Forget for a moment about, whether, continual marijuana use, kills initiative and drive, and, you end up living in your mother's basement till you're 42 years old and digging hash brownie out of your ears. Forget about that whole thing. But ask yourself the question, if you agree with my premise, and I don't think it's arguable, that if you legalize marijuana, more people will smoke it, and they will do it, and they will do it on a more regular basis. Then, if you accept that, my only point is, don't you have to have some baseline standard as part of the law, which defines how you're going to define people who are driving while intoxicated? Don't you have to have some sort of standard for employers, which are going to determine, okay, at what level are we going to let people come in and work heavy machinery and do those type of things? Again, we're getting some texts that are saying, well, alcohol is worse. I'm not defending alcohol use at all. I think it is a scourge, and I'm just death on drunk driving. So that's not the point. And am I arguing that you take one hit of marijuana and that means that you're impaired to drive? No. But the point is, there's no standard measurement, unlike with alcohol, for how much marijuana you can have and then be impaired. And until you get that standard to just legalize smoking dope and driving at the same time with no way to enforce this as a practical matter, I think it's bad public policy, period. And you know what? New York is starting to find that out as we speak. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
No matter the hour.
We are following a developing and breaking story out of Waukesha.
No matter the day.
Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine as President Biden announces sanctions.
The news doesn't stop.
An abortion ban now in place in Wisconsin.
And neither do we. Over 1,000 years is how long Darrell Brooks Jr. will spend behind bars.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
National Weather Service calling it a once-in-a-generation event.
News Radio 620.
WTMJ.
In my job, I never held back. I played hurt, and I pushed through the pain. Sound familiar?
Football legend Emmitt Smith had a reputation for just grinding through the injuries and pain over and over. That may be you. And QC Kinetics sees patients every day who are exhausted from dealing with the persistent pain.
A lot of you work physically demanding jobs. You stand, you climb, you bend down, you reach up, and if you have joint pain, it takes all you got to earn a living. But it's time you know about QC Kinetics.
QC Kinetics, the leaders in regenerative treatments, help relieve that debilitating joint pain without surgeries or downtime. These are natural solutions that use your body's own healing properties to give you lasting relief from the soreness and achiness.
You got a job to do. I get it. But now you don't have to suffer through the pain. Check out my friends over at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Off Mosquito Repellent, a clean feel so you can accessorize without mosquitoes. You can wear classic whites and jeans and know what you are covered with 8 hours of not sticky, fragrance-free protection. S.C. Johnson.
Gruber Offices, a proud partner of your Milwaukee Brewers.
What's the way to build your wealth?
While going over a new client's statements from one of the big financial firms, I was floored when I read that firm does not offer tax or estate planning advice. Because we know that saving money for our clients on their taxes, legally and well within the law, can make a huge difference in their financial plan. If you want to wisely build your wealth, it is my firm opinion that without a comprehensive approach, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. At Financial Strategies, Inc., we're taking a deep dive and creating comprehensive strategies that develop your retirement, investment, and your tax and estate planning. And all under a fee-only structure that means the success we care about most is yours. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to FinancialStrategiesInc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters is saying, well, okay, that might be the New York experience, but what about Colorado? Let's talk about Colorado. All right, let's talk about Colorado, which was one of the first states to legalize marijuana. Let me just give you some of the numbers. I just pulled this up quickly. This is Mothers Against Drunk Driving. The percentage of all Colorado traffic deaths that were marijuana-related increased from 11.4% in 2013 to 21.3% in 2017. Consistent with the past, in 2017, less than half of the drivers, 42%, or half of the operators, 50%, involved in traffic deaths were tested for drug impairment. Again, it's because it's so difficult to determine, whether or not somebody's high, and there aren't good baselines. Denver Post, this is what they say. How bad has high driving gotten in Colorado? In a recent large-scale study, researchers have found the number of driving deaths involving marijuana-intoxicated drivers has skyrocketed in recent years. In Colorado alone, the number of fatal crashes from 2013 to 2016 rose by 40% to 880. Now, those numbers are a couple years older, but there's no doubt that the number of traffic fatalities have increased dramatically since marijuana was legalized. And people can pretend it's not a problem. Oh, okay, I understand all that. You can pretend it's not a problem because it fits your agenda. I want to be able to legally smoke pot. Okay, I get it. That's fine. But let's also recognize that there are social costs on the other side, and you can't ignore that reality. And New York is just the latest state dealing with this problem. And my guess is the numbers in Colorado, and that's what these studies suggest, they're probably a lot more. They're probably a lot greater because there's a lot of fatalities, there's a lot of traffic collisions where they don't even test for marijuana because, again, there's no good basis. It's not like alcohol. So am I arguing that driving high is worse than driving drunk? No, but I'm arguing it's a lot easier to get away with driving high than it is to get away with driving drunk. And why in God's green earth would we want to give more excuses for people to get impaired and be on the roads? Just asking. When we come back, it is a controversy involving a common phrase. I will explain and we will discuss.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Advent founder Dr. Madan Kandula.
If you were formerly breathing properly and we just plugged your nose up, you're not going to like it. You're not going to like it for a few minutes. You're not going to like it for an hour. You wouldn't stand it for a day. If we're talking weeks, you're going to be clawing at the walls to get that thing off. And if we're talking months to years to decades, many of our patients are basically walking around with clothespins on their nose and they don't know any difference. They've never experienced what life is supposed to be like when you breathe properly, and so for them, they feel like it's normal. It should be no surprise that many of the folks that we treat have downstream conditions. So if somebody's nose isn't working properly, if somebody's throat isn't working properly, they're not breathing properly. And when you don't breathe properly, it creates problems for your body.
When you breathe well, you live better. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment today.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
What's better than the look and feel of real leather? The amazing prices at Steinhafels.
They say reach for the stars. But what happens when you fly too close to the sun?
62 pitches out of the bullpen for Lauer. Ready, and another 3-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. It's time to stretch in Milwaukee.
Our Brewers Astros coverage starts tonight at 6:05 on News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it is 66 degrees. We'll have sunny and beautiful skies today, a high of 74. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. The Department of Justice is investigating an officer-involved critical incident in Racine.
According to the DOJ, Mount Pleasant police officers received calls for shots fired late Sunday evening. A couple of hours later, Racine police initiated a traffic stop. After the driver was stopped, the subject then left the vehicle and fled on foot. Officers later found the subject in tall grass near 6th and Howland. When officers approached the subject, the person refused orders and began firing shots at the officers. Officers then shot back and struck and killed the subject. No law enforcement officers were injured in this incident. Finn Askin, WTMJ News.
The involved officers from the Racine and Mount Pleasant police departments, they've been placed on administrative leave. More information on this is on WTMJ.com and the WTMJ mobile app. We are also expecting a update from the DOJ right about now this afternoon. A family in mourning today after a 16-year-old boy was hit and killed by a train in Burlington. The Racine County Sheriff's Office has confirmed that boy to be Jack Myers, a junior at Burlington High School. They say the teen was riding his bike and ignored the warnings at a railroad crossing before he was hit by the train. In a press release, family said that Myers was a dedicated family member with a big heart. Egg and milk production up in Wisconsin in 2023.
A new report from the U.S. Department of Agriculture shows Wisconsin farmers produced 195 million eggs in 2023, up 66% from the same time last year, and on the rebound from the avian flu, which decimated a large majority of egg-laying chickens in the state. Milk production also grew to 2.64 billion pounds, up slightly from the previous April, but along similar trends from years prior. Sandy Max, WTMJ News.
Obtaining a work permit in Wisconsin just got a lot easier. The Department of Workforce Development is launching an online work permit application, allowing for those transactions to be completed online. You previously had to go to an in-person location. Work permits are required for teenage workers aged 14 or 15 before they can work in any job except farming or service work. More than 135,000 teenagers are employed in Wisconsin right now. The DWD has given out over 35,000 permits. The elk population also growing in Wisconsin.
The DNR expects the number of elk to be more than 500 by July of this year. The Clam Lake region in northern Wisconsin has about 350 elk, while another 150 are expected to be living in Jackson County in western Wisconsin. A small number of elk in Clam Lake will be available to hunters. The DNR first began reintroducing elk in the state back in 1995. Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
Sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News time is 2:03.
Explore outdoor living this Saturday from Eric Brown, the president of Outdoor Living Unlimited. He knows his stuff. They expand your living space with decks, patios, fire pits, even outdoor kitchens, and can show you a virtual reality of it all for starters. Outdoor Living Unlimited did a great job at the Matzik household. We love it. So listen and call Eric this Saturday on WTMJ's Fix It Show and check out OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
It's ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta, and I have told you about the delicious pizza and Italian snacks that you can find at Proof Pizza inside St. Kate the Arts Hotel. But now there's even more to be excited about. The restaurant has added new sandwiches to the menu. Available every day from 11 to 4, you can enjoy items like the Red Rock Chicken BLT, the Meatball Hero, and more. Order from the counter at Proof or directly from the bar at St. Kate. Explore the new sandwiches and the rest of the menu at proofpizzamke.com.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Despite winning just 2 games on a 6-game road trip, the Brewers return home in first place in the NL Central. A 6-game homestand begins tonight against the Houston Astros. Coverage gets underway at 6:05 on WTMJ. Organized team activities underway for 20 teams in the NFL, including the Green Bay Packers. Hear from Packers head coach Matt LaFleur later today on Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Aaron Rodgers in attendance at Jets organized team activities. And in the NBA, the Los Angeles Lakers need a win to keep their season alive. The Nuggets can sweep the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals with a win tonight in Los Angeles. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Taking a look at your roads, it is your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic, and several of the lane closures I talked about at the top of the hour have been cleared, so things are looking a lot better. Everything looks pretty good around Milwaukee. No major slowdowns or delays, and no accidents reported. A little bit of a slowdown, though, a bit south of the city on 41894. It looks like about a few minutes delay between the Hale and the Mitchell.
Traffic is sponsored by Annex Wealth Management. It's time to know the difference, and Annex Wealth Management is ready to help with investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning as a fee-only fiduciary partner. AnnexWealth.com. Click the Get Started button.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Today is sunny and beautiful with a high of 74 at the lake, up to 78 degrees inland. Tonight, mainly clear, low of 53 at the lake, 46 inland, so a little cooler there. Tuesday, mostly sunny, a high of 77. Wednesday is going to be partly cloudy, breezy and cooler. We got a slight chance of showers and a high of only 55. Thursday, sunny skies back, but it will still be cool, a high of 60. And Friday, mostly sunny, a high of 64. Right now in Madison, it is 80 degrees. In Green Bay, it's 78. In Waukesha, it is 78. And in Milwaukee, it is 67 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore Pooley, Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. So, Wyatt, in the last segment we were talking about marijuana use and problems they're having in New York with people who are driving high, but they can't prosecute them because there's no good standard test on all this. So that was one of our texters asked me the question about, Jeff, when you were in Amsterdam a couple of years ago, did you notice an issue with like marijuana? And have you ever been to Amsterdam?
I have been to Amsterdam for exactly 24 hours
Okay.
before I had to flee the Netherlands to return to London and then the United States because it was the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Well, we were, our crew, we've done a number of listener cruises over the last couple of years. We got one more that we're going to announce relatively soon. But when we did the Rhine cruise, it started in Amsterdam. So we were there for a couple of days. And I love Amsterdam. I mean, it's got a ton of history that's there. And you've got the Anne Frank house and you've got the...
I love the Van Gogh Museum.
The Van Gogh Museum, right. That you could spend a lot of time there. But, you know, it is... You walk around the streets of Amsterdam, and it reminds me of going to a rock concert in 1974. I mean, the scent of marijuana is just overpowering in all sorts of places. But that's not where the story goes. So we're wandering around with people from the cruise, including some friends of ours, dear friends of ours, Betty and Peter. And outside of our hotel in Amsterdam, they have all sorts of storefronts that sell like food and stuff. And there, first day we walk by, and there's this place that sells French fries, and it's just like a storefront. And the line, there must have been 60 or 70 people in this line. And we walk by, and we go, damn, these must be really, really good French fries that people are standing in line to see this. And so my friend Peter and I, we start talking about this. Maybe this is something, maybe we should find out who owns this place and see if there's like this recipe or something, and maybe we could bring whatever they're selling at this French fry stand, maybe we could figure out a way to bring it to Milwaukee and make some money out of it. So we're thinking about business opportunities. So, and my wife, she's not saying anything. She's kind of shaking her head. So the next night, we're walking past. Now it's raining. I mean, not pouring rain, but it's raining. It's a kind of an icky night. We're walking, and the line is double. I mean, there's like 120 people in line at this French fry place. And I say, I got to figure this out because, there's not too much stuff that I'm going to wait in line in the rain for. But okay, these must be like great French fries. And they're French fries, and you get your choices of like 15 different toppings, like mayonnaise and stuff. So my friend Betty and I, my wife and Peter, they're undercover. We stand in line waiting for the French fries. So finally, 10 minutes go by, we get there, we order our French fries, we go back, meet our respective spouses who are undercover now, dry, looking at us, and we got the French fries, and we try the French fries, and they're okay. I mean, they're French fries. They're nothing special.
Yeah, you can get it in the market hall.
You can get it right. I mean, they're like, nothing special. And I'm going, I just don't get this. And then, of course, my wife, cutting through all the you-know-what, says, they're all high, Jeff. Don't you understand that? It's just everybody's got the munchies. That's why, and the French fries. That's it. So
yeah, if you operate a potato chip store in Amsterdam, you got to be making bank.
Well, exactly. That's it. It's like okay, and unless and until they legalize marijuana in downtown Milwaukee, I'm not running the French fry stand. But once they do. Because I was thinking these are going to be like the best French fries I've ever had in my life, and they were only okay. But I wasn't
dispensary
high.
Right here, Jeff's French fry stand right next door.
Absolutely. Now that is the idea, or maybe Jeff's dispensary and then Jeff's French fry stand, huh?
You're diversifying your portfolio.
Well, absolutely. You got them both covered. So you go into Jeff's smoke shop, you get yourself all worked up, and then you stand on. But again, it was my wife Fran. She said, I said, these aren't anything special. They're all high, stupid. It's just like, and this is the perfect thing for everybody that's high. So there are these business opportunities that are out there. It just took me a while to grasp it. But
see, I talked about this on Wisconsin's Afternoon News once, but I actually cannot smell. I have no sense of smell and never have as long as I can remember. So when I was in Amsterdam, I feel like I didn't get the full experience. I did not smell anything there.
Oh, no, it's just, and you walk in downtown Amsterdam. I'm not talking about you go into the smoke shop. And interestingly, The cafes, if you go in to have like a beer and stuff, they're not allowed to sell. The smoke shops are exclusive. You can't go and drink and have beer and smoke pot at the same time. It's different things. But it's like a lot of big cities in Europe. It's very, very crowded, and so you have like these narrow alleyways and stuff. So lots of people kind of on top of each other. But yeah, you walk down the streets, and trust me, I know you weren't going to rock concerts in 1975, but trust me, it's like going to a rock concert in 1975. You go, wow. First of all, I remember that smell. Oh yes, I remember that smell from back in the day. So it just kind of comes with the territory. But this is my note. If they ever get ready to legalize recreational marijuana in Wisconsin, that's it. You got to be thinking outside the box. And that's when I go talk to this guy in Amsterdam and see if I can get like the recipe for all the different French fries, because it was blockbuster back then. I'm not sure that they were anything special, but of course I hadn't been smoking weed. All right. Here's a fun topic I wish to discuss with you. A lot of times, my lovely wife will say, "Okay, what do you want for dinner? What can I make you for dinner? Isn't it nice you got a wife that wants to make you dinner and stuff like that?" And I sometimes like struggle with, okay, what are we going to have? But many times, if it is a particular day of the week, it makes it easy, because I will say, "Hey, it's Taco Tuesday." Right? Now, you have heard that phrase before, right? Because my guess is that many of you have gone out for tacos on Tuesday night, right? It's just the ubiquitous thing. It's Taco Tuesday. When I was in law school, it goes back that far. There was a bar that had a kitchen in downtown Milwaukee, and they had Taco Tuesdays. That was the big deal. And they had taco specials and things of the like. And we regularly went out for Taco Tuesdays at this particular bar that is long since gone. Restaurants all over have Taco Tuesdays, right? It's almost a ubiquitous thing. Hey, let's go out for tacos on Tuesday night. We hear this. Did you know that there is an outfit that claims that no other restaurants should be able to market the term Taco Tuesday? Who owns the phrase Taco Tuesday? Well, according to the government's patent office, the answer is Taco John's. You ever heard of Taco John's? I'm not sure if they have any Taco John's around here. Charlie, do they have a Taco John's around here?
Yeah, there is one in West Allis on National, and there's another one like West Milwaukee.
Okay, so it's a Midwestern chain. It's based out of Wyoming, but it's based out of Wyoming, Taco John's. But Charlie's going to fact check me on this one. No, I'm right about that. It's a fast food chain based in Wyoming. And apparently what happened is back in 1989, they went to the patent office and they claimed the trademark rights to Taco Tuesday. Well, now there's a lawsuit because Taco Bell is suing, and they're saying, look, Taco Tuesday is ubiquitous. And you have bars and restaurants and places all over the country, all over the world perhaps, that are using the phrase Taco Tuesday. And we should be free to run advertising saying, hey, it's Taco Tuesday, come to Taco Bell. Mexican restaurants should be free to say, hey, it's Taco Tuesday, come to Jeff and Charlie's Mexican restaurant. Not that we'd set up a Mexican restaurant, but you get the idea. So Taco John's claims to have invented the phrase, despite the fact that there's all sorts of evidence that people and places before they filed the trademark back in 1989 claimed it. But they say, hey, we've got the exclusive rights to it. And here's the deal. If Taco Bell decides to challenge, if they decide that they want to use the phrase, hey, it's Taco Tuesday, make a run for the border or whatever, we're going to sue them. We coined the phrase. It's a mainstay, and we're going to use that phrase, and we're going to protect our rights if other people choose to use the phrase Taco Tuesday. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. every once in a while, stuff kind of passes into sort of the general public domain. So here is my question. Taco John, an outfit that maybe you've heard of it. I mean, I have, because where I went to college, that's if you wanted to go out for, they didn't have Taco Bells there, they had Taco John's. So if Taco John says, we have the trademark to Taco Tuesday, and other places are not allowed to use it, 855-616-1620, that's the Old National Bank talk and text line. What do you think? Should Jeff and Charlie's restaurant be able to say, hey, it's Taco Tuesday, come on over, we're running our special? Or should that be something that is exclusively within the purview of this Wyoming-based fast food restaurant that apparently has 1 or 2 locations in Wisconsin, or at least around here? 855-616-1620. I say I'm with Taco Bell, free Taco Tuesday. We discuss in a moment.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Are you ready to step up to the plate and test your skills?
Hey, bada, 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 swing, bada.
Join Steve every Friday at 10:35 for a rousing round of virtual baseball to win awesome prizes.
Oh, baby.
Steve Scaffidi's Virtual Baseball, presented by Siding Unlimited.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game.
Every Friday at 10:35.
Business owners, are you feeling the pressures of growing your business? It's tough to maintain momentum and still keep employees engaged. Well, Insperity can help. They put over 35 years of HR experience to work, helping you with hiring, with training, with HR administration, and compliance, all the while giving your employees competitive benefit options. When your people thrive, your business can adapt and prosper. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Scalable HR, employee benefits, HR technology, Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. I always thought Vince Lombardi came up with that famous sports nugget, but it turns out he borrowed it from a college coach. And now I'm going to borrow it too, because when there are 10 or 20 offers on a property, there's only one winner. In today's inventory-starved real estate market, you need a Lombardi-level mortgage coach, one who has all the best plays in the playbook. Going with your bank for your pre-approval is like playing in a professional playoff game with the JV coach at the helm. The Lombardi-level coaches at Accunet are called senior loan consultants, and each one has been trained by me to help you and your real estate agent work as one team to deliver the one and only thing that matters, winning. So if you've been losing with your flimsy bank pre-approval, trade up today to a rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval and a Lombardi-level game plan. And if you're just getting started, why not start with the best? Click on the blue button today and get started with your winning game plan at accunet.com.
Did you know that the Inflation Reduction Act can save you thousands on energy-efficient updates like new insulation, siding, windows, and more? And these dollars are in addition to Focus on Energy rebates. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling and S&E Insulation. As Department of Energy Century Club Award winners, my team has the proven skills and experience to help you take advantage of these unprecedented incentives. Get started at ALLRITE remodeling.com.
Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Jeff, my friend owns a bar restaurant, received a cease and desist letter from Taco John's a few years ago telling them to stop using the phrase Taco Tuesday. She changed the marquee to a day formerly known as Taco Tuesday. Should you be able to trademark Taco Tuesday? Now, interestingly, Taco John's holds the trademark for that in 49 states. In New Jersey, there is a bar restaurant, Gregory's Restaurant and Bar, that patented the phrase in New Jersey in 1979. So the phrase Taco Tuesday belongs to Taco John's everywhere in the country except New Jersey, where it belongs to this Gregory's Restaurant and Bar. I don't think it should belong to anybody. I think Taco Tuesday has become ubiquitous. And you know, if places want to run specials on Tuesday, to me, and a number of you are making this point on our text line, you know, what if somebody goes out and tries to trademark the phrase Friday fish fry? You know, could you do that? You know, if we've got a really, you know, kick butt fish fry and we want to go out and we want to trademark the phrase Friday fish fry, should we be able to do that? I think that is very similar to trying to claim Taco Tuesday. Rome in Oconomowoc. Rome, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Jeff.
Sure.
I was in grad school in 1989-90 in La Crosse, at UW La Crosse, and every Tuesday the local Taco John's in La Crosse would sponsor the Taco Tuesday, where you could get a 6-pack of tacos and a pound of potatoes.
Exactly. So this, so
they're
this,
potato olays.
yeah. So it's been thanks for calling. No, but it's been around for a while. Like I say, I mean, I can remember. Okay, so when there was a bar. It's not there anymore, but that was the big thing. It was Taco Tuesdays, and I mean, it was before I was really aware of. I quite candidly, until I saw this story over the weekend, I had no clue that Taco John's had trademarked the phrase Taco Tuesday. I just thought it was kind of one of those terms that it was out in the public domain because so many places have Taco Tuesdays, don't they? Let's talk to Gianni in Montello. Gianni, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Yes, Jeff. Interesting topic. Hey, listen. 2 words. What is the patent office doing issuing a patent on Taco Tuesday? It seems ridiculous. You cannot patent. I wouldn't think, but in this crazy government and world that we live in, that would be issued. But this is not intellectual property. This is not a song or a melody. This is not a poem. This is not a movie, a film, an invention that makes our lives better. What is the patent office doing issuing a patent on
that involves
Taco
a day of the week.
Tuesday?
Yeah, no, right. Thanks for calling. I'm with you with it. That involves like a day of the week. If I wanted to, I don't know, Sunshine Wednesday or whatever. I agree with you. I think this is a bizarre sort of thing. But regardless, it's become, again, this sort of ubiquitous phrase that's out there. Now, the way this is coming out is that Taco John's, like I was reading with one of our texts, Taco John's has gone after small business operators in an effort to enforce this over the years. Now Taco Bell is suing them, seeking to, the phrase is, liberate everybody. So Taco Bell isn't saying that we should be able to use this exclusively, but Taco Bell is saying that there should be no controls on this. And if, Jeff and Charlie's bar decides that they want to run Taco Tuesday, they should be able to advertise it, and Taco Bell should be able to advertise, hey, it's Taco Tuesday, come in for our special, and Taco John's should not have a special limitation on it. I think that there is an appeal to that. Jeff, Taco Tuesday is generic, just kind of like light beer. Well, I think that there's an element of this. I don't know how this is all going to turn out. But if you are thinking about, I don't know, bringing people over for, hey, meals, or your spouse asks you, what do you want for dinner? And you say, hey, it's Taco Tuesday. Be careful. Taco John's may be coming for you. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Give future generations a connection to their past by securing cemetery property today. Now is always the best time to buy cemetery property, because purchasing today is your best protection against rising prices and limited inventory. Whether you choose burial or cremation, we have options for every belief at any budget. Speak with us today about available financing and pricing options. We're Forest Hill Memorial Park. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
3301 East Forest Hill Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154.
A wiser way to build your wealth.
A wiser way to build your wealth starts with choosing a financial planning firm that is fee only, because it means they work for you. Fee-only firms like Financial Strategies, Inc. don't work for a bank or brokerage firm or an insurance company or mutual fund company, because we don't want our decisions for your best interest compromised in any way. We work for you, and only in your best interest. And fee-only means the success we care about most is yours. Ask your advisor, are you 100% fee-only for 100% of your clients 100% of the time? If they answer no, get a second opinion. I'm Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., a fee-only, comprehensive financial planning firm. And I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
He's a former coach with 2 sons who played professional basketball. Satch Sullinger's a competitive individual, but his golf game was suffering because of painful joints.
Right, that's real important, the golf game. Right, as we get older, we create these bad habits because we're relegated to hit a certain way.
QC Kinetics used regenerative treatments, all natural healing properties from Satch's own body, to restore those damaged joints and get his golf game back on track.
QC Kinetics Regenerative Medicine is regenerating me, all natural, and that's what I'm about. I'm going to tell everybody why I'm better.
Oh, and by the way, looks like the competitive Satch is back.
We're all in the same boat, and I'm getting better, and I'm watching them stay old.
Go to QCkinetics.com. Get relief and your game back. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
A number of you are entrepreneurs. I'm being swamped with different suggestions of things. If you can trademark, Taco Tuesday, can't you trademark like Friday fish fries? How about Sunday Fun Day? That's a number of people suggesting I should be able to trademark Sunday Fun Day. Look, the bottom line of all this is I appreciate there's this thing that in the law they call intellectual property and these ideas that people have come up with and they deserve to be protected and you can't have people that come in and exploit them. I'm sympathetic to all that, but Taco Tuesday is Taco Tuesday. The term is ubiquitous, and if Taco John's is out there trying to tell small businesses that they can't say, hey, we're running a Taco Tuesday special, I think it's time for them to be legally slapped down. That's just me. Over the weekend, Brittany Griner, the WNBA basketball player who spent 10 months detained in Russia on what I argue is bogus charges. I mean, she had a very, very small quantity of hashish oil that under normal circumstances would have resulted in her being fined and deported. But because she got caught with this 3 days before Russia got ready to invade Ukraine, she was grabbed and held as a political prisoner. That's just the reality. And ultimately, she was exchanged for an arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death, which has resulted in, we've been talking about this before. Last week we did a topic about how there's even more American athletes that are going to Russia and playing. And I guess my response is, at this point in time, you go over there, you're assuming the risk. And if you get grabbed on some bogus charge, don't expect the government to be trading another arms dealer for you. But anyhow, Brittany Griner made her WNBA first appearance over the weekend. And it's interesting because her coach was sort of upset. They thought that there was going to be a sellout. It was in L.A., and it was only half full. They drew about 10,000 people. The stadium fit 19, and the coach was upset. Where are all these people? And I think there's a couple things going on. First of all, I think there's still a lot of people who are unhappy with the fact that Brittany Griner did what she did, and we had to exchange the Merchant of Death arms dealer for her. And then the other reflection is, even if you're glad to have her back, and I'm glad to have her back, at the same time, the WNBA, and these are amazing players, there's no question about it, but women's basketball just still isn't at the level from attendance perspective of where men's basketball is. So I don't know there was anything surprising about it, and I don't know that the fans should be shamed for this. Actually, I think, having the arena half full was probably a pretty good, indicator, and it shows there's some support, because I'm not sure 2 years ago if they would have had enough people there for that. But anyhow, Brittany Griner is back, and she is playing. We'll see how the season works out. WTMJ Breaking News time is 2:31 p.m. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, here's Wyatt Barmore-Pooley.
Thanks, Jeff. About 90 men have been arrested today, involved in more than 100 shootings and 25 homicides, according to the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office. Police Chief Jeffrey Norman says members of these loose-knit gangs often change allegiances. Some of them are already in custody doing time. We'll have more on this story that's been developing today throughout the afternoon. The Wisconsin Department of Justice investigating an officer-involved shooting in Racine. It started with a domestic incident, and then the suspect drove into the city and was pulled over at a traffic stop. He fled on foot. The officers found the subject in tall grass. There was an exchange of gunfire after the man opened fire on officers. He was shot and killed. No law enforcement officers were injured. The investigation is being led by the DOJ. And a family in mourning today after a 16-year-old boy was hit and killed by a train in Burlington on Sunday. The Racine County Sheriff's Office has now confirmed that boy to be Jack Myers. He was a junior at Burlington High School. They say Myers was riding his bike and ignored the warnings at the railroad crossing before he was hit by the train. Time for news about your money. It is the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. And it looks like things are a little bit worse than the last time I took a look at this. The Dow is down now 111 points. That's a little over 0.3%. The S&P only up 4 points. And the NASDAQ doing the best. It's up 67. It's a little over 0.5% up. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com. You can click the Get Started button today. Taking a look at your roads, it is the Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic Update, and it looks like things are going pretty well. No major slowdowns or delays on any of the major highways, and luckily no accidents reported right now.
Traffic is sponsored by TaybackAttorneys.com. Hurt at work? Call Tayback for the payback. An injury at work may leave you eligible for compensation benefits, including lost wages, coverage of medical bills, or a cash settlement. Call Tayback for the payback. TaybackAttorneys.com.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny and beautiful today, a high of 74. Tonight mainly clear, low of 53. Tuesday mostly sunny, a high of 77. Cooler on Wednesday, it'll be partly cloudy and breezy. Slight chance of showers and a high of 55. Thursday, sunny, still cool though, a high of just 60. And Friday, mostly sunny, continuing to warm up a little, a high of 64. In Plymouth, it's 75. In Wauwatosa, it is 73. And in downtown Milwaukee, it's 69 degrees. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:34.
I'm Jeff Wagner. Coming up next, why is it that people can't let go? I'll explain. We'll discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
The workplace has changed a lot thanks to technology, and more recently, the shift to a flexible or remote schedule. Your business must adapt to maintain a great culture, attracting quality candidates and keeping them. You need Smart Spaces. The team of interior integrators at Smart Spaces brings creativity and expertise, assessing the walls, ceiling, lighting, flooring, furniture, and audiovisual systems to create places that matter in the modern world, fully functional for those in the building and for others to interact remotely. Get started today at smartspaceswi.com.
It's time for amazing Memorial Day savings at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Right now, shop unbeatable deals on everything you need for summer. Like 20-pound bags of Blaine's Black Oil Sunflower Seed, just $15.99. 20% off all Coastal Pet dog and cat collars, leashes, or harnesses. And special buy medium pillow pet beds, just $13.99. Don't miss amazing Memorial Day savings on summer essentials in-store or online at farmandfleet.com.
Find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, Outdoor Living Unlimited. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. Yet at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
May is here, and as a Wisconsinite, you know that marks the start of sun, warmth, and joy. So when the rubber meets the road, you better be ready for the changing weather and adventures that may lie ahead. This is Jim Griffith. We have you covered with the marvelous service specials. We'll change your oil, inspect and rotate your tires, check the battery and air filter, give it a complete multi-point inspection, check your AC or your heat, and even change your wiper blades, all for $129.95. Good at all 5 Griffin dealerships.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So very glad to have you with us. Once again, we, in addition to spoken word radio, and you can connect with us via terrestrial radio, that's typical over-the-air stuff, or through streaming, and you can stream us through WTMJ Live, our app. There's also the podcast, so you can timeshare. We are now, we broadcast on the stream. We have cameras in the studio, and you can watch what we do every day, live streaming. You simply go to WTMJ.com, click on the Watch Live button, and you can see how we look on a daily basis, if that's what you're interested in. You can also subscribe to us. We've got our own YouTube channel. Who knew? We're going to talk more about this next story tomorrow. But the police chief and the district attorney have announced today charges against a violent group of individuals. The story is that they have identified 90-plus individuals who they believe have been responsible for 100-plus shootings in Milwaukee over the last several years. 100-plus shootings, 25 homicides in the last 3 years that they say are all related to a number of loosely organized street gangs. 90-plus men have been arrested. Some are already serving time. Once more details on that emerge, it will be interesting to see, because there's no question in my mind that a lot of the violence that has been going on in this community over the last several years has been the responsibility of, I would say, a relatively limited group of people. And that's what's been so frustrating about, you look at the violence levels, because yes, there are always going to be random shootings. That's just the reality. And then there's going to be the crimes of passion, and then there's going to be the road rage thing where somebody gets upset and pulls out a gun. But when you look at a lot of the organized criminal activity, what you find is it's being undertaken by people who are members of street gangs, et cetera, and that fuels a lot of it, whether it's the armed robberies, whether it's the car thefts, et cetera, and then carjackings, you name it. And a lot of that comes from, again, people who are, part of this various gang mentality. So if we're doing something to finally get these people off the street, I am 110% behind it. You just saw the federal indictment in the last week or so of a number of members of street gangs who were involved in guns and were involved in defrauding the federal government and things like that. That's what we need to, and we should have been doing much more of. So more on that tomorrow once more details emerge, but that's what they announced. Okay, if you are a regular listener to this program, apart from policy, I am very troubled by the fact that we do not seem to have a young generation of leaders. Joe Biden, who apparently will be the Democrat nominee for president, he's going to be 82 when he runs for re-election. And I was watching some news clips of him on TV yesterday involving coming back from the G7 meetings. And look, put politics aside, he's struggling. I mean, again, I don't care if you're liberal or conservative or moderate or whatever. He's 80 and he looks every day of 80. Okay, maybe he looks 78, but he's clearly showing the signs of age, and there's no surprise. He's 80 years old. You've got Donald Trump would be like 78, next year if he were to win the presidency. And as I was saying in the segment we were talking earlier about Tim Scott, why can't we find younger leaders? There was a story in the New York Times that really got me thinking. Dianne Feinstein, who of course, she's the senator from California who's been absent for a huge chunk of time, and just absolutely refuses to leave. She's 89 years old. She's announced her retirement, but not until 2025. She intends to assuming she lives and survives the balance of her term, she says that she's going to serve her term. She's not going to leave. And maybe you saw the picture. She was out of Washington for several weeks with severe health problems. They brought her back, and she's in a wheelchair. The reports are that she's very, very forgetful, that this last illness was very severe. But even at the age of 89, independently wealthy, so yeah, the perks of office are nice, but she can do whatever she wants. She refuses to give it up before her term ends in 2025, even though everybody understands that she suffers from substantial memory issues and struggles to do the job because of complications from illness. And the New York Times, it goes on to list some of these other ones. It talks about, Strom Thurmond, South Carolina Republican, hung on till he was over 100. Robert Byrd, Democrat from West Virginia, died in office at age of 92 after 51 years in the Senate. And it goes on and on and on. And it talks about how one politician after another just can't walk away. It just cannot give it up. And I'm always struck by this because at some point in time, we all age out of things. Athletes, you Athletes, you start, I don't care if you're a great baseball player, or a great football player, or a great basketball player, or a hockey player, or whatever, there is going to be a point in time when you age out, where you cannot compete anymore because maybe it's injuries, your skills are going to atrophy, whatever. That's going to be the reality. In business, whether it's as the CEO of publicly held companies or law firms or whatever, there's typically an up or out thing. At the age, there's typically an out thing. 65 years old, 68 years old, certainly by 70, at most corporations, at most companies, particularly most publicly traded companies, the expectation is you're going to move on. You're going to be gone. You have to be retired, and then we're going to have this new generation that's in there. But in politics, as long as you can raise the money, scare off opponents, and get reelected, you get to stay. And the story in the New York Times is really interesting because it poses this why question. I mean, if you've got all the money in the world, so that's not an issue. If you're a Donald Trump, or you're a Dianne Feinstein, or you're a Nancy Pelosi, or you've got all the dough, so it's not a question of you needing the job and you needing the benefits or anything like that. It's not that. Why do people hang on beyond their sell-by date? And I'm going to argue Joe Biden is hanging on beyond his sell-by date. I mean, just look at him. There's no question about it. What is it that drives somebody to, even in the face of aging, what is it that causes people to refuse to let go? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. And it's one of the reasons why I think there needs definitely to be age limits on elected office and age limits on judicial offices. And we can argue about what that age limit might be. The one I kind of settle on is like 75. But beyond that, you look at Dianne Feinstein, who's 89. You look at Joe Biden, who is 80. You can look at Trump, who's 78. Now, I think he's nuts, but I think he's an energetic 78. But he's still 78 years old. Why is it that these people cannot give it up? And is it a good thing? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Tune in on Sundays at 10 a.m. for the AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show. Join AccuNet's Brian and David Wickert for the most up-to-date information on mortgage trends, along with timely news on the real estate market. The housing market is in flux, but the national headlines don't often fit local market conditions. Find out what's really happening on the front lines of real estate and mortgage financing in Wisconsin and make better decisions by tuning in every Sunday at 10 a.m. The AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian and David Wickert on WTMJ.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
So when you're in a pain spiral, will stem cells or bone marrow harvested from your body and then placed back into your body get you out of it? For those willing to go through a very expensive and not exactly easy process, which is not FDA approved, it might. But for those not willing to pay exorbitant amounts to go through all that, especially knowing that pain relief is not a sure thing, it's not an option. At Rejuvenex, we inject powerful, FDA-approved treatments that reduce inflammation and pain, while improving mobility in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees. With some patients experiencing relief for greater than 2 years before repeating the process. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics, and we are in network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Did you know that the Inflation Reduction Act can save you thousands on energy-efficient updates like new insulation, siding, windows, and more? And these dollars are in addition to Focus on Energy rebates. I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling and S&E Insulation. As Department of Energy Century Club award winners, my team has the proven skills and experience to help you take advantage of these unprecedented incentives. Get started at ALLRITE remodeling.com.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlands.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands. Hey, boaters!
From fishing to water sports and everyday essentials like anchors and life jackets, along with an incredible selection of hardware, Kendor Marine is a boater's paradise. This is Dave Doro, and our endless selection of boating parts and accessories all but assure you one-stop shopping for all your boating needs. And that's why boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water. Hey boaters.
This is Dave Doro from Kendor Marine. And if you're a boater and you haven't been here, ask around. And I think some of your boater buddies will tell you you're missing out. Because at Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. And when you get here, you'll know that's no exaggeration. So get in the know, because boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Yeah, that bumper, that Neil Young bumper music is exclusively the province of my producer, Charlie. So, but it is a valid point. No, okay, so Dianne Feinstein, 89 years old. She's a mess, okay? She's been out of the Senate for a month or two, serious health issues, cognitive problems. They bring her back. She's in a wheelchair. Everybody says she's having a very difficult time doing her job, and yet she intends to hang on until her term ends in 2025. Why is it that so many of these politicians in particular think that they age like fine wine when they don't, and that's just the reality, and you see that. I mean, again, I don't want to turn this into an anti-Biden thing, but I was watching him coming back from the G7 conference over the weekend, and he looks really old, and you could just tell there's, God bless him, and I wish him a long and happy life, but he shouldn't be the president. He's just too old to be the president of the United States, and I think most Democrats would say, okay, we want a Democratic president, but we'd like to have one that's, I don't know, a 65-year-old whippersnapper as opposed to somebody there. So why is it that people hang on so long in politics in areas where you couldn't do it? Big business doesn't let you do it. 65, 70, you're out. Law firms, you're out. Sports, you're retired way before that. Dave in Watertown. Dave, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Good.
I just wanted to say I think it's a matter of pride and ego, the reason why these politicians don't want to jump out of office, and a matter of they maybe don't see anyone that's good enough in their mind to fill their void.
Yeah, that indispensable person, yeah.
And then on top of that, I think they also feel pressured that they have to keep that seat, whether it's Democrat or Republican. Keep it a Democrat and Republican. If they know they are a sure vote, that's, I think, a big reason why they stay in.
Yeah,
I too would like to say.
No, Dave, thanks for calling. Well, except, I mean, here's the thing. For example, Dianne Feinstein, she's a Democrat in California. A Republican isn't going to win California. Actually, most of the people, I think, that hang on the longest are people who are representing states that aren't at issue, because you know you're not going to get a vigorous challenge. So the only challenge could come from somebody in your own party, like in a primary, and that's always very, very difficult. You're going to run against this beloved, person, and your issue is going to be he or she is just too old. But I think you're onto something. I think it is the ego, it is the power, and maybe it is the whole idea of self-worth. Well, what would I do if I didn't do this? And I guess I feel, in some respects, that's very sad. And I mean, look, and I understand people whose self-image is tied up in what they do. I also understand people who enjoy what it is that they want to do. But at a certain point in time, there's other stuff that you want to do. I love what I do for a living, right? I'm not going to be doing this if I'm fortunate enough to live, another 15 years. I'm not going to be doing it 15 years from now, because as much as I love doing what I'm doing, there is going to be a point where you say, okay, well, if you look at the time that you probably have left, there's other stuff that you want to do as well. But there's something about politics that people just cannot give it up. Jeff, it's a mind game. You're not old until you're retired. Well, you don't even have to be retired if you're in politics. I mean, if you're Joe Biden, nobody says he has to retire. People can, if he wants, he can craft, something else, that he can do. Jeff, the people that are holding on think the country can't run without them. I think that's it. One of our texts, Jeff, I think many politicians are drunk on power that feeds their ego, and I believe there's denial about their own physical and mental health, accompanying fear of their own ticking time clock mortality. I agree with you. The term limits are necessary. Now, let me be real clear here. I am not an advocate of term limits. I am an advocate of age limits. For example, the president, we say you got to be 35 years old to run. I think we should say, all right, you can't run again after you're like 75. I'd say the same thing for Senate. I'd say the same thing for Congress. If you're 74 and you run and you get elected, that's fine, but then you can't run again. I do the same thing for federal judges, federal appellate court judges, and Supreme Court judges. At some point in time, you do not do anybody a favor by hanging on beyond your sell-by date. All right, when we come back, let's find out what John McCure and Sandy Max have on their minds for Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
No, he's not going to put you in the lineup. But luckily, this is the closest you can get to the skipper himself.
I mean, Robin is the all-time brewer for sure.
Greg Council, every Tuesday.